The Fantasy Football Week 7 Waiver Wire edition of Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code OFFSGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old-fashioned football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake-eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old-fashioned football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you listen to, this is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football. And if you're wondering who us is, that's at Old Fashioned FB. Before I keep going to talk about Week 7 waiver wires, Week 6 recap, and some whiskey, of course, I got to bring in my co-host on the pod and in life. And reviews have said, stats have said that she's the prettiest co-host in all the land. You can find her on the X at the Mark. How you doing today?
Doing good. It's an interesting Monday.
For anybody wondering, I'm not in the doghouse. That was not for brownie points. Just saying it to say it. Just throwing that out there. It's Week 7 already, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it just feels like every year it gets faster and faster. Time flies, obviously. And we had another crazy week up and down for some fantasy football players. Oh, breaking news real quick. James Cook is out.
He is.
If you have James
I did
Cook
not have an opportunity to double check. I know I have him somewhere.
Well, and I think the problem is a lot of leagues you can't even add anybody right now. Waivers won't run through. Now the home leagues that we run, that's not the case. You can do that in others. But anyways, bye weeks make waivers more important. That's why we're trying to give you waiver wires. Injuries make it important. There's only 2 teams on bye week.
Yeah, the Bears and the Cowboys.
Sad for the Bears. The Cowboys need it because
probably they need a break.
Yeah, the Lions just whipped their asses. So yeah, they absolutely need a break. Real quick before we keep going, I'm sure you've heard this if you've listened to our show before, but Hurricane Helene has been devastating the people of Western North Carolina, and we've teamed up with a local charity, mountainprojects.org, to help give back. The biggest donation will get a guest spot on the College Football Pick Show and a ton of gear. Just go to mountainprojects.org and hit Flood Sport. Help out today. It really means a lot to those people. And when you make your donation, just throw in like SGPN so that they know that you heard about it there, and that can get you signed up for the contest. Miranda, why don't you let everybody know now that that's out of the way? It's always hard getting that part out of the way because I don't want to talk about the sad stuff. Mm-hmm. But why don't you tell everybody the good stuff that is now to come in the show?
Yeah, well, it's Monday. So we've got, I guess we bring you an updated injury report on Mondays and Thursdays. Yeah. We'll go over some updates to that. We've got studs and duds. Sir throws a lot from Thursday and the weekend games. We've got our Underdog Monday night football picks. Yeah. We're going to bring you some waiver wire pickups if you're struggling. Give you some players you can look at trying to get to fill in for those buys, these injuries that just keep growing. We've also got Monday night football best bets and, of course, a whiskey review.
Well, speaking of, what are we drinking today?
Penelope Rose Cask finished bourbon.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this one. We've had Penelope before on the show. We've reviewed it on the show, but it was the toasted barrel strength Rocky Mountain series.
Yes.
It's like 3 specialties because their toasted is a specialty, their barrel strength is a specialty, and then this was a specific Rocky Mountain region specialty. So we will get into all of that. Shout out to the chat. Josiah saying, thank the Lord, the fantasy football gods for Chris Godwin. We're going to talk about him for sure. NASCAR Gambling Podcast. What up, Cody? He says, let's go. My mother saying, you are the prettiest co-host. See, I didn't just make it up. Tergay Kaglar says, hi, Daniel Jones versus Eagles or Drake May versus Jaguars or Stafford versus Raiders. Matt has been a disappointment so far for week 7. The one good thing I will say, Cooper Kupp might be back in week 7. Not guaranteed, but he might be back. However, did you have an early lean on between these three? Because I have one in mind.
If you have a gut reaction to this, do it.
The Jaguars. They just shipped out a good defensive lineman. They traded him to the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit of a sign that they're giving up. Drake May looked pretty good.
He did look pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about a couple.
Yeah.
I'll be talking about him and somebody else on the Patriots.
Okay, nice. And he has a rushing upside. Daniel Jones does a little bit, but that Eagles-Giants rivalry, you never know what you're going to get. I like Drake May versus the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
I know it'll be in London, but we just saw Caleb Williams torch that defense. The coach came out and said that he thinks they need a culture change. Well, that starts with you, dude. So, yeah. And Cody, who is a Patriots fan, also says Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag sorry, Cody. But it's not sorry, Cody, this time.
Not sorry, Cody? I don't know. No, I agree. The Drake May, anybody who has followed us long enough knows we used to say Dan Jones when he was a stud.
Yes.
He is back to Daniel Jones for a reason.
Also says he needs to drop one, he or she, sorry. Bigsby or Javonte Williams. Travis Etienne is week to week, and Tank Bigsby has looked good.
Mm-hmm.
The Broncos running backs have been up and down. Jaleel McLaughlin still gets involved. I believe Audric Estime is going to be involved soon. I think you drop Javonte Williams if you have to drop one of those. What do you think?
I could get on board with that.
Yeah, Tank has been good.
He has
and
been.
If Etienne misses time, Tank is a dog. Even though the Jaguars in general have been bad, Tank Bigsby has been good. That's been one of their bright spots. Thank you all for listening. Obviously, you're listening to Old Fashioned Football. If you could head to Spotify or Apple, give us a 5-star rating. That helps us out so much. It helps, against the big names, the ESPNs, the fantasy pros, the all those people. It helps us get a little bit of recognition or climb up the charts just a little bit. And until the end of this month, we are running a contest or a giveaway coming up. All you got to do is give a 5-star review on Apple, and you'll be entered in. Put your name in a hat, if you will, probably the one on my head, and we'll draw a name to get a free Old Fashioned Football t-shirt. I am wearing one now. So, get over there, give us reviews. It helps us a lot, and we appreciate it. A sub and a like, we super appreciate that as well. Every subscription, every like, that all helps.
Mm-hmm. I'm screwed.
Oh no. not by me.
I'm screwed. I have him in 2 leagues. One of them is our family league.
Cook, you mean?
Yeah, and I have 100% guarantee win. So fine. Cook is gonna be out.
All right.
I also have him in Fortune's league. And I have no IR spots.
Okay.
And I am winning. I have a 5% chance of winning with Cook in and being out.
Okay. So it's gonna be close.
I can't do anything.
I did see though. You could drop him. You could pick up.
I'm not oh my goodness.
And you got Justin Jefferson. You could drop him.
I'm not dropping either of them.
Well, then I don't know what to tell you.
I guess I'm gonna take a chance. I almost was gonna win in all 13 leagues.
You did show me on Sunday all the green on.
It was so beautiful.
Your sleeper.
It's the pirate leagues that are biting me.
Yeah.
They're the only 2 leagues I'm not going to win.
Same this week. And I had James Cook in one. Nick Fortune wanting an update on my NCAA coaching job. If you hadn't heard, I left the state of Iowa for Washington State. It's been going good there, but I'm in the last year of my contract, and we might be looking to move again, Miranda.
Fortune, you asked this question again on our podcast, and you're out of the chat.
Happy belated birthday, by the way,
happy
Fortune.
Belated birthday.
Let's go over this injury report. But first, I almost forgot to move our clicker. I'm trying to be good about moving the clicker. So let's do that and go over the injury report real quick. You want to kick it off?
Yes. New injuries. Dontavian Wicks, Packers wide receiver, is week to week with a shoulder injury.
Yeah. Travis Etienne, who we already talked about, He was nice enough to score me a negative 0.1 points before getting injured. He's considered week to week with a hamstring injury, but we just saw Nico Collins get that week to week designation and then go on injured reserve for a hamstring. So I would grab Tank Bigsby ASAP if he's available.
Browns running back Jerome Ford is considered week to week with a hamstring injury. However, Nick Chubb is coming back.
And I watched some videos and he looks like he's in form again. Anthony Richardson is expected to play in week 7 as long as there are no setbacks with his oblique injury. So it may not be Joe Flacco anymore, sadly. I think their pass catchers are better with Flacco.
Yes. And we briefly talked about Cooper Kupp. So a little bit of good news there. He could return to practice this week. It's not a guarantee he plays, but this does mean he's close to coming back.
Yeah, and I need it because I have him in so many leagues. More good news, though it is somewhat scary on what could happen, I feel like. But Tua is expected to return this year per their head coach, Mike McDaniel. He's eligible to start practicing October 23rd, so I think it would be around early November. I know last week when we had our fantasy roundtable and we had Kyle and Pinky and RD on, somebody asked about Tyreek Hill. Help is on the way if Tua can make it back, but it's still scary.
So you said that, it just reminded me.
Help is on the way,
Yes.
dear.
Okay, we're done. Saints running back Kendre Miller is finally expected to make like his season debut this coming Thursday against the Browns. You got me all tripped up there, Justin. I didn't want you to say it.
Uh-oh.
But with Kendre Miller coming back, this could affect Alvin Kamara slightly. But I think they will most likely work him back in slowly.
I just got hit under the table. Don't bring up a saying if you don't want me to say it. You know I like doing that.
I know.
Titans running back Tyjae Spears is considered week to week with a hamstring injury. Again, we just talked about Nico Collins. He was considered week to week and then put in injured reserve. So keep an eye on that.
Dallas Goedert, tight end for the Eagles, left the game with a hamstring injury after 0 catches on 1 target. This is tough for everybody who started him. We haven't heard an update, but we already have seen how hamstring injuries can linger. I'm so glad I did not do that trade for him.
With RD.
I went with my gut and I didn't do it. Not that I thought he was going to get injured, but it just wasn't something I felt I could do. And I'm very happy.
Yeah, no kidding. One more, Jordan Mason, running back for the 49ers, has an AC joint sprain in his shoulder. No idea if he's going to be available or not this coming weekend, but we do know that Kyle Shanahan is a liar when it comes to injuries. That'll work Nick up. However, it's true. I mean, all the talk with CMC, and then I think he knew how bad it was. NASCAR Gambling Podcast would leave Iowa for anywhere. Unless you have Goddard, Laporta, and Kraft, then it doesn't matter that Goddard is
exactly.
hurt.
See, it's good that we didn't do the trade. You get to keep. I mean,
you have the depth at least.
Well, I guess it would have been better for you if we did the trade because either way, you don't have Goddard. Ignore me.
Ignore me. Hey, before we keep going, we're going to be talking about Underdog entry in a little bit for the game tonight. We might need to jump ahead and do our best bets, but we'll see. But why don't you tell people a little bit about Underdog before we get to it?
Absolutely. We are brought to you by Underdog, and Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and more. Their lobby is jam-packed with profit boosts, and you can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. We're going to be giving away our picks here in a little bit, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, go sign up over at underdogfantasy.com with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, that's underdogfantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN.
All right, we are back. Yeah, the game's going to start in about 50 minutes. I don't do math real well. Why don't we answer a quick question before we get to
7:15 that it starts?
I believe so.
40.
All right. Let's do a quick question here. Braylon Allen or Ty Johnson with Cooks out. I like Braylon Allen.
He's being worked in. He's taking some of Breece's workload there.
They said they want to run the ball. Then,
Mhm.
obviously the coach is fired. I'm sure Rodgers had nothing to do with it. He said he didn't. And you missed that. I did a little wink,
I
wink.
saw
He had
you.
nothing. And so I think they're going to run the ball with Brees and Braylon. I do think Ty Johnson is going to get a touchdown tonight. That's one of my bets that I have placed. Ty Johnson at anytime touchdown, but I think Braylon Allen is the more of a sure thing for points.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fortune also likes Allen. Thanks for checking in, Sam Cooper. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
No.
You're good to go. Well, let's talk about these studs and duds. And we'll do one at each position.
All right. I'm going to kick us off with quarterback. Caleb Williams projected 15.2, finished with 28.64. And with that performance, the Bears have now scored 5 offensive touchdowns in back-to-back games for the first time since 1956.
Whew, we're back.
Although, it was just against the Jags and the Panthers, but we still did it.
True. But, good teams have to beat up the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so we beat them up. Running back stud Sean Tucker in a blowout win against the Saints. Tucker split carries with Bucky Irving, and he had a really long run. He ended up with 136 yards, 1 touchdown, 56 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. So he had a rushing and receiving. Awesome performance.
Yes, at wide receiver. If you caught us on Thursday's roundtable, then you heard Pinky from Sports Nonsense and Whiskey say that this player was his must-start player because he's such a steady Betty.
I like that.
I know.
I like that saying, steady Betty.
He was projected 12.7 points. He finished with 30 fantasy football points. This was a huge day for Godwin.
Yeah, absolutely. Tight end stud, my guy, Cole Kmet. They're disrespecting him, projecting him at 5.7. I say every week he's a must start. I think you're seeing now he is a must start. Finished with 21.5 points, 2 touchdowns, 5 catches for 70 yards. What a day.
Yes.
Talk about these duds.
The duds. All right. We've got a quarterback dud for you to go with that stud. Maybe not go with the stud.
Yeah.
All right. Dak Prescott was projected 18.5 and he finished with just 3.22. That's less than guys like Will Levis, Deshaun Watson, Aiden O'Connell. It was just terrible.
Yes. Insult to injury there, looping him in with guys like Deshaun Watson, Aiden O'Connell, Will Levis. I love it. Running back dud. Bengals running back Zach Moss. He was projected 11.8. He finished with 0 after only managing 13 yards, 1 catch for 2 yards, and a fumble. Chase Brown actually didn't look much better until he had that 30-yard touchdown, but I think this is becoming Chase Brown's backfield, something we kind of preached preseason, early in the season. Hopefully you listened and you have some stock in Chase Brown.
Yes. Wide receiver dud for you, Calvin Ridley. He was projected 9.8. He finished with 0.9. I don't feel like you can really trust any Titans pass catchers right now, at least not as long as Will Levis is throwing the ball.
Yeah, I thought they looked a little better when he got hurt and Mason Rudolph came in, but I get not wanting to give up on him and shake his confidence and stuff. Tight end Jake Ferguson projected 9.2. Obviously, if Dak doesn't do good, neither does his pass catchers. He finished with 2.6. And this was just a dud game in general for the Cowboys. It was pretty bad, if you ask me. RD also saying Allen, Cody saying Allen.
There you go. You've got a consensus here.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you guys for answering. We like that a lot. My eyes still sting. I just want to throw that out there. I don't mean to get us on a side tangent.
No, but
here.
Okay, so I'm gonna paint the picture.
Paint the picture.
I work today. My company does not have Indigenous Peoples Day off.
And happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadians as well.
Okay.
By the way.
Thanksgiving in Canada. Didn't know it.
Yeah.
Anyway, you did not work today.
No.
And we have peppers just flowing out of our fridge. We have way too many peppers.
I'm glad you said fridge.
What was I going to say?
I was worried where that was going.
Leave it open for people to figure out where they're coming from. Our peppers were extremely successful in the garden this year. And the ones that did the best were the hot ones, the jalapenos, the salsa peppers. I don't know. We had all kinds of spicy ones. Anyway, we're pickling them. We're making the cowboy candied peppers with them. You didn't work today, so you're pickling. I come out for refill number 5 of coffee. You are not wearing gloves. You don't have
Which fortunate ass did you wear gloves?
Nope, he did not wear gloves. He has our hood range over our oven wasn't on, no windows open. Like you walk in, I walked in the kitchen, walked past him, wasn't even near him where he's chopping these peppers, rinsing these peppers, all. And I go back to my office and my throat's itching. My eyes start stinging. My lips and nose are burning. The fumes of these peppers in the air were so bad and thick in the kitchen.
I was coughing for quite a bit too. They were
coughed,
intense.
Thank you very much. I had work calls and I'm coughing and coughing. I'm like, I'm not sick. My husband just is chopping peppers in the kitchen and getting the vapors all over.
Yeah. As Cody said, I'm a real man. It makes me manlier to be able to breathe that in.
You can still get burns on your skin if you're handling jalapenos for like 30 minutes.
The good news is this is not like our last pepper story where I used the restroom after not wearing gloves.
Hopefully you only have to learn that lesson once.
Yeah, I'm not going through that again. Cody also did not think you were going to say fridge. Why don't we talk a little Sir Throws a Lot, which, as you know, we like to have our little intro here.
This is Jim Miller, former Chicago Bears quarterback, and now it's time for Sir Throws a Lot.
Thanks, Jim. We touch on Sir Throws a Lot every week. It's whoever, if you haven't watched our show, it's just who threw the ball the most times. Last week, it was Kirk Cousins with 58.
Yes.
Who's this week, Sir Throws a Lot?
This week, obviously, not counting tonight's games because Rodgers has been throwing a lot.
He has.
Just gonna say that.
His arm's going to fall off at his age.
But this week it was Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith who threw the ball for 52 times in a loss to the 49ers. He finished with 312 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions.
I would like to comment on this game. I had a very silly bet in where it was, I can't even, Kenneth Walker, Kyle Juszczyk, somebody else, and DK Metcalf to score a touchdown. $4 bet that would have paid $1,500. So very silly. Seahawks have the ball with 50 seconds left, and they obviously need a touchdown. And it's like, you have to realize you just need a first down, and then you just need a first down. And he's chucking it 50-yard down the field like Hail Marys every single play. And I was getting so aggravated. It's like, just get closer and then drop a good play. Anyways, it was very aggravating, and probably more aggravating just because I had that bet, but it still upset me. just throwing that out there. We talked about Underdog Fantasy. We're going to do that, and then our best bets, I think. And then we'll do our waivers. We'll skip around a little bit here, but why don't we do yours first? Go over your Underdog Fantasy lineup.
Oh man,
or entry.
Yep, let's do this. I am not going to leave that notebook in my office again. I do this every time.
You left it.
Yes. Okay. Well, Breece Hall, I have him higher than half a touchdown. And this is a receiving or rushing, either way. I will say that this is going to be a difficult game for both sides.
Yeah.
2 really good defenses against both. Well, I think the Bills against the run is not as good.
Yeah.
That is why when I broke all this down for touchdowns, I was thinking a rushing touchdown for the Jets. I know that Braylon Allen has been cutting into some of that workload, but Breece Hall's overdue. I think they're going to get him in the end zone. Keon Coleman, higher for longest reception. I went higher than 17.5 yards. He's hit this in 2 of the last 3 weeks. Josh Allen, I went lower than 206.5 passing yards. He weeks 4 and 5, they went up against some tough defenses, and he didn't hit this.
Okay.
So they weren't even the Jets. Trying to think against the pass. I think there's 6 for him. Either way, this is going to be a difficult game for him. So I'm having him lower. Aaron Rodgers, I had him higher than 32.5 passing attempts. Maybe I might have gotten this mixed up. The Jets went against some tough defenses too in the last couple weeks. There we go. But when they went against Minnesota and Can't remember who they played.
I don't remember.
I think
off
it
the
was
top of my
Minnesota
head.
last week.
Yeah.
The week before. I don't remember who they played. But regardless, his pass percentage completion was kind of shitty compared to normal. But he was throwing the ball like 50 something times, 45 times. I think that they're going to have to do that today too. So
His arm's going to fall off at that
it's going to
rate.
fall off. He's thrown it a lot. That 32.5 passing attempts, whether or not his completion percentage is up there, I think it's going to happen. So $10 pays 64.8. $10 pays you. It has been $64.80 if all hit, and it'll pay you $16.20 if 3 hit. Go to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code OFFSGPN.
Yeah. I see some questions in the chat. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm going to run over mine real quick. I got Josh Allen 6.5 rushing attempts higher. I think that this Jets defense is going to get some pressure on him. He runs the ball anyways, so I think he's going to go over 6.5 rushing attempts or higher than that. Breece Hall, 57.5 rushing yards higher. You kind of said you think he's due. I agree. I think he's going to have a game. I think they're going to focus on featuring him some. But I also think Braylon Allen's going to get involved. So I like his longest reception, 8.5 yards higher. This is a guy that the past 4 weeks, he's had at least one catch and he's gone over 10 yards. So to me, I just think he's going to have a reception that's higher.
I like both of these just because the Bills defense is horrible against the run. So both of these guys, I think, I agree with your picks here. I think that.
Well, thank you.
They'll have a good.
And also, I had to put in a kicking.
Yes, you always do the kicker.
A kicking line here. So Greg Zuerlein, higher than 6.5 kicking points. I think that the Jets are going to get some field goals, basically, is all I'm saying with that. So $10 will pay at 80.10. $80.10.
Are you mocking me?
No, not at all. It's a form of flattery. Don't worry. So yeah, just go over to Underdog Fantasy, Mind Warp, looking at the chat here, and use OFF SGPN. Chris Garza checking in. Should I trade away Devonta Smith, London, and Rachaad White for Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Xavier Leggett? I like that trade a lot because I think Gibbs is better than Rachaad White. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than either of those. The
Lions' offense in general, they're just on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Xavier Leggett, not as good probably, but I still think that you're getting those Lions, and that's a good time to get them. And also, look at that, Chicago Bears fan.
Yes.
Bear down. Nick also likes your trade. Nick knows what my bet was. It was Kittle, Metcalf, Juice, and Kenneth Walker. All right. Cody at the NASCAR Gambling Podcast likes Braylon Allen higher than 1.5 catches. Higher, Cody. It's higher. That's his single bullet tonight. So
your underdog terminology.
That's right. That's right. Let's talk about best bets real quick because I know that the game will be starting soon.
People like to get these in sooner rather than later, have time to review.
Yeah, absolutely. We will get to our waivers in a second, but let's do these Monday Night Football best bets. I'll let you kick it off.
Okay. So, all this talk about Braylon Allen. He's been getting more involved, even though it's still Breece Hall's backfield. It seems like every week they have a play or two that's designed for him in the receiving game, and his receiving totals are currently at an over under of 10.5. He also has gone over this in each of his last 4 games. So give me the over 10.5 receiving yards at -105.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm also going with the Jets. I'm hearing the new offensive coordinator wants to focus on the run game and run the ball a lot. Maybe Rodgers still does throw it 40 times. We'll see. But sometimes it's hard to tell if this is where there's smoke, there's fire, or if it's smoke and mirrors when they come out with this stuff. I mean, we're going to run the ball a lot, and then they throw it 58 times just to throw the Bills off. Anyways, I think it makes sense, though, for the offense to get Breece Hall involved. This line is juiced, but as Cody, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast says, you only pay the juice if you lose. Give me Breece Hall over 13.5 rushing attempts at minus 150. So I don't care how many yards he gets in this. I don't care if he scores a touchdown. I just care that he carries the ball 14 times.
And thank you, Cody, for that lovely phrase. I hear it multiple times a week. First touchdowns?
Yeah, let's do first touchdowns.
All right. I feel like I took the obvious one, but it's the one I'm comfortable with. Breece Hall at plus 500. Based on these defenses, based on this is going to be a tough matchup for both teams. But the Bills' weakness is the run game. So I think that the Jets are going to have success there. Breece Hall is overdue, like we've said.
Yeah.
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall. All right.
Who do you have?
I was going to go James Cook, and then he was ruled out. And then I thought about going with Ty Johnson. I don't know, though. If they get close, I think Ray Davis will get the goal line carries, not Ty Johnson, though. I will tell you, I did sprinkle some of my own money on Ty Johnson to score the first touchdown. But my gut is telling me to go with Josh Allen. This is a guy that he likes to run the ball anyways. I think they're going to get close, and he's going to run it in. So, obviously, I'm saying that I like the Bills to score first.
I think that Justy is going to stop him.
Nah, Josh Allen is hard to stop. I should be rooting against him because I'm going to lose in fantasy football to my mother in the family league, and she has Josh Allen. So, I should be rooting for him to have a headache tonight or something. I don't know. But that's our best bets. We've been doing pretty good on those. So make sure you follow along, and we'll hopefully win you some cash. Yeah. Let's catch up with the chat real quick here. Oh, Cody says that was a bet, not an underdog play.
Okay, well then you're safe. Sorry, Cody. Hey, there's a sorry, Cody.
All right. Let's talk about waivers, shall we?
Let's do it.
I'm going to let you kick it off as per the usual.
All right. I was going to say, I just apologized to Cody, but now I'll make up for that right now. Okay. Make up for it. I've got Drake May. He is rostered in 3.8% of leagues. Only 3.8%, people. We've already talked about him a little bit here, but we now have some data to back up why we think he should be picked up.
Data.
Do not start with me. This was against a really tough Texans defense, but he threw for 243 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He had 38 rushing yards. Had he not thrown 2 interceptions and fumbled the ball, just let's ignore that, he would have finished the day with around 25 fantasy points. Coming up, he has games against Jacksonville, which just let Caleb Williams pass all over them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that he is somebody you should be looking at, especially if you need the quarterback help.
I believe Caleb Williams is the only rookie quarterback to ever throw for 4 touchdowns in London. Drake May's going to want to compete with that, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he gets those touchdowns.
If he's paying attention to the stats.
Right?
To the data.
The data.
I'm
going to go with another rookie who got a start, Spencer Rattler. He's rostered in 2.5% of leagues. There's obviously, we're giving rookies out. There's not a lot of availability of quarterbacks. I thought he looked decent. It was kind of tough for him playing from behind, but that first half they were winning, and he showed some moxie, some swagger. He also threw for 243 yards, which Drake May did. So that's kind of weird that they threw for the same in their debuts. He threw for a touchdown, so not as many as Drake May, and he only ran for 27 yards. But
did he have 2 interceptions and a fumble?
I think he had a interception. I'm not.
Did he fumble?
I don't know if he fumbled. He was just trying to copy Drake May all day. Spencer Rattler had an up and down career in college, but there were times where it was like, is this guy a Heisman guy? And then there were times like, how is this guy even a starting quarterback? I think he showed he can have some success in the NFL, and we know that he's going to be the starter for the Saints for at least the next couple of weeks. So if you're hurting at quarterback, or maybe you had Caleb Williams and he's on a bye this week, give you some options there.
All right. My running back is Dameon Pierce. He's only rostered in 3.1% of leagues, and he has finally made his return from injury. And even though Mixon also returned, Pierce got to do some fill-in work. He finished the day with 8 carries for 76 yards and a touchdown. Mixon tends to miss some games every year anyway. So if he misses again, Pierce would be the guy up.
Yeah.
And this is, remember, like this is the former starting running back for the Texans. So don't be surprised if he still gets involved and succeeds as well.
Yeah. I want a little chip on his shoulder. I'm going to go for my running back waiver wire, Isaac Guerrero. Roster in less than 1% of leagues. Now, this obviously depends on if Jordan Mason misses time or not. Because if he doesn't, then maybe this doesn't make sense. But if he does, Guerrero's the next guy up, and he had a really explosive long run after Mason left. He showed that he could be good. The 49ers have kind of shown that it doesn't matter who's in the backfield, they do well, right? I mean, it's a very user-friendly thing for the backs. So I think if he's the guy that's getting the start, he's going to do well regardless. Real quick, a bonus one. If Rashad White is still out with an injury, target Sean Tucker. He had a good day in his stead, kind of sharing carries with Bucky Irving, my guy, Bucky Irving.
Your guy. All right, a wide receiver. I've got Demario Douglas.
Duckless?
Duckless. He doesn't have any ducks.
He got no ducks.
He's only rostered in 21.1% of leagues. We've been waiting for Demario Douglas to pop off. It just hasn't there. It just hasn't happened with Jacoby Brissett throwing the ball, but Brissett isn't throwing the ball anymore. We've got Drake May, and Drake May targeted Douglas for 9 times for 92 yards and one of those touchdowns. So I feel like this offense is better with Drake May.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks like the pass catchers may be relevant. Another guy I think is relevant, Devon Veely, rostered in only 0.2% of leagues. In week 1, he's for the Broncos, in case you are going, who? In week 1, he had 8 catches on 8 targets. He was then hurt, missed the next 4 games. He returned this week, and he had 4 catches on 6 targets for 78 yards. I think Bo Nix has shown that he likes throwing the ball. And this Broncos offense has not been as bad as a lot of people thought. Bo Nix has been pretty decent. So, yeah, I like Devon Veely if you need some help. I wouldn't say he's a wide receiver 1 or 2, but a flex guy during bye weeks to help you out or for injuries. I think he's a good target.
All right. Tight end, the position everybody's struggling in. Unless you're already in, you had Dallas Goedert and you have Laporta, and I can't even remember who your other tight end was.
I don't remember off the top of my head either.
But Jatavian Sanders is rostered in 0.3% of leagues.
Yes.
He's not even rostered. But Tommy Trumbull had a bad concussion against the Bears, and Jatavian Sanders was ready to step up with him being out. And with that, he was targeted 7 times this weekend and caught 5 of those for 49 yards. With how the tight end position has been lately, those actually aren't bad numbers.
Yeah, right.
So if he's someone to watch. I think this is more maybe watch him, pay attention to him.
I think it also, in my opinion anyways, it has to be if Andy Dalton continues to start. Because if Bryce Young starts, I think it goes back to we don't want any of those pass catchers. But I don't see him going back to Bryce Young. He's done, don't you think? Do you think he's done in Carolina? Yeah. I just can't believe that still the report that came out, like he was surprised that he was benched for Andy Dalton. It's like, what? What? How are you surprised? My tight end, Grant Calcaterra, he's rostered in 0.1% of leagues. Now, this is, again, injury relative. So if Dallas Goedert remains out, then you want him. If he doesn't remain out, this doesn't make sense. But Goddard left the field with a hamstring injury, and we know those can linger. Nico Collins, thank you. And he's the guy that stepped up, Grant Calcaterra. He caught all 4 of his targets for 67 yards, and I think Goddard's going to miss time. So if you had him and don't have other options like RD does, replacing him with his backup could be the way to make it pay off, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's our waiver wires. Let's see if the chat has any questions. I don't have it clicked on that. There we go. Stephen Grimes says, with Cook out, who are you starting in full PPR? Braylon Allen, Ty Johnson, or Ray Davis? We had this question a little bit earlier as well. And the chat agreed with us that Braylon Allen is the way to go. So you have us saying Braylon Allen, and 3 other people also like that. So I think you got to go with Braylon Allen there. So RD also saying it's too many is not a good problem to have. I think you meant it's not a bad problem, right? I don't know.
It's not a good problem.
It's too many. It's not a good problem to have.
Too many tight ends.
That's not a good problem to have, or it is?
Well, if they're all good, who do you start?
Then true.
I don't know. I'm just, if that's what he meant, that's what it means.
You don't even know what he meant.
If he meant it's a bad, I don't know.
RD might not have known what he meant. Just kidding, RD. Real quick before we get to whiskey, because that was all the football of the show. Enjoy the game. It's going to be starting here in about 14 minutes. We're going to do a whiskey review. So if you want to stick around, we'd appreciate it. However,
for the whiskey.
That's right. Have you ever wanted to create, or before I jump right in, we're brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football, or do you even know what a sports betting model is? You know what else I forgot? We have these lovely graphics.
Together.
I know, I'm all over the place. SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide all bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or press build a model for me, and Rhythm will give you predictions for every game and player prop. They also have a myriad of stats, research, and trends analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS is the best in the business. They've been around for more than 40 years. You can bet anywhere. It's not just in the U.S. It's available in a ton of locations, including internationally, and they just launched an all-new live betting experience. You can deposit using cryptocurrency, so go ahead and get that Dogecoin ready, and you can get lightning-fast payouts. Miranda, I always ask you this question, and you have been on a heater with the answers. So let's go with your gut again. Bills touchdown, Bills field goal, Jets touchdown, Jets field goal. What do you think the first score will be?
I've been on a heater because I keep going with the field goals.
Yeah.
Because I think that it just seems like usually, maybe not usually, but sometimes that field goal is just what goes. And these defenses are so good. I think that these offenses are going to struggle. But I also really think the Jets might get that rushing touchdown. Oh, okay. Hold on a minute here, Justin. I'm not prepared as usual. I'm going to go Bills field goal.
Bills field goal. You can get that on BetUS at 3-1 plus 300. Use our link to sign up and get 125% deposit bonus on your first deposit. No, on your first 3. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so that they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book.
Now, back to old-fashioned football.
Everybody got to see what a glimpse of trying to quickly just all the data and the numbers just going through my head of what do I pick? I do this every week with the Underdog Fantasy higher lowers. Is you don't want to be in my mind when I'm doing that.
You don't just throw a dart?
Oh God, no. I can't. I'm not capable of doing that. I have to look up I looked up every game that the Jets played and for the Jets defense, what they did to the other offenses. And I looked up every game for the Bills. Oh my gosh, it was just a mess. It's a mess. I can't. It causes me stress. If I'm going to put higher or lower on something, I have to feel like I'm going to be right.
That's fair.
And I'm a very analytical person. So it's not throwing a dart for me.
So Underdog Fantasy, a perfectionist nightmare. Fun for us that just like to bet for fun and just go, yeah. I think
it is a nightmare for me. It's a nightmare coming up with those. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to rely on our tracker. I have to look at all the numbers. And they really do get you because you'll have a player with like 3 weeks in a row where they had for a quarterback where they had over Rodgers over 33.5 passing attempts. But look at the defenses he played against or look at, what happened in that. And they want you to go higher because the last 3 weeks he did it. But now
it's like
he's playing against.
It's like most books. It's the guy from Star Wars. It's a trap.
Exactly. It's like, but do you really think? But really, though, I don't know. It's just a mess. It's a mess up there.
It's
You
a mess
don't-
up there.
When I finalize those, it's like, okay, now get this out of my, like, just, I have to move on.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, let's move on to some whiskey. Look at this. I have a graphic for whiskey.
Ooh, pretty.
I felt like I didn't. People didn't need to see me turn my back on them when I reached back and grabbed the whiskey. So now there's a graphic.
We could just have the whiskey with us. Like
well,
that
I
wouldn't
don't
make
want it
sense
to-
or
I
anything.
like having it behind our shoulders.
Oh, that's what Thursday's for.
I suppose. So you still have the other one we talked about behind your shoulder there.
Mhm.
We're going to be talking about this one. Do you want to read the history, or
Oh,
would you like
absolutely.
me to? Actually, let's answer a question
Yeah.
real quick. Juan Pena Jr. checking in. I have Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, and Madison. My wide receivers are DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Jacoby Myers, Calvin Ridley. Who do I trade? Wire pickups, Josh Downs and Tracy. I would go for Josh Downs. And
Mhm.
for a person to drop, I
Mhm.
just dropped Calvin Ridley in a league. I'm over that team. I don't think Will Levis is going to lead them to consistent big
Mm-mm.
games or good games.
He was just
even.
one of our duds of the week.
Yeah. As far as trade, oh man, that's always hard because it depends on who you're
Mhm.
trading for. Tank Dell is probably a good one right now, coming off of a good game. Nico Collins will be back, so Tank Dell will come back down. So I think that's maybe
Trade him while he's high right now, while people are like, oh, people are thinking, he's doing really good right now.
yeah.
So
Same with
you
Alexander
could get
Madison.
good value for him right now where you might not be able to later.
Yeah. Same with Alexander Madison. I would take those two and maybe try to trade for a better wide receiver. That's kind of how I would start that. Jesse Winchester also checking in saying, should I trade Olave and Addison for Neighbors? My receivers are Kupp, Godwin, London, Olave, and Addison. Yeah, I think if somebody's willing to give you Neighbors for Olave and Addison, I absolutely would do that, especially because you do have Kupp, Godwin, and London as some depth there. What do you think? Do you like the trade? I mean, Chris Olave has been up and down. Now he has Spencer Rattler and potentially an injury. Jordan Addison, he had one good game with Sam Darnold, and then he had one kind of mediocre game.
Yeah, and I think doing that trade, it just even strengthens your
Neighbors is a dog.
Yeah.
And I know he's been out 2 weeks with a concussion, but he's a
Mhm.
dog. So, yeah, I like the
it.
trade. Thank you, Juan and Jesse, for your questions. If you're not subscribed, subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And
We need more
Josiah,
information.
who do I trade Keenan Allen for right now?
I will say, like,
Now's the time to trade him.
It is the time. You're correct. It is the time, but we need to know who you're looking at. Tell us, give us some I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
But
not knowing.
I will agree with you. Like, this is a good time to trade him because I don't know.
He's not going to catch 2 touchdowns every game.
No.
So this is his sell high point.
It was such a fun game to watch.
It was. But who on their bingo card had Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, and Gabe Davis to all have 2 touchdowns in that game?
It was not me.
That would have been a bet that paid out big.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would target a running back. It's just hard. I mean, it's hard to say who would be a medium running back. Maybe a guy like Josh Jacobs. He hasn't had great games, but I think he's going to get better. So maybe that's a guy to kind of look at.
I need to break this down. I just got done saying what goes on in my head. I'm
going to pour the
I can
whiskey
get
while you
back
do.
to you though on this. This is a question. I'm going to do a takeaway.
Do a takeaway. All right. Sounds
So,
good.
Josiah, hit me up for some fantasy advice
Yeah.
after the show.
Nate does think Keenan will play more consistent, even though it was a high point. I think he might be more consistent. Agreed. I just think if you have the depth, this is definitely, I don't know if he's going to get better than that game. So, all right, let's talk a little whiskey. You
Let's
can
do
the rundown if you'd like.
Yeah, like we've said a couple times now, we're going to be doing a review of Penelope's Rose Cask finished bourbon. But first, we're going to bring you some of the history like we love to do. Penelope Bourbon is a bit of a newer distillery, and it was created to celebrate the impending birth of a child. Sounds okay. Moving on.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
I wish I could be like, hey, how should we celebrate? I don't know. Let's just make our own whiskey.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Because that takes some money. Like,
no, like just
it's-
how, yes.
the
It does take
impending
some-
birth. Is that-
Impending. Anyway, moving on. In 2018,
All I smell is peppers. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Mike Palladini and his wife Carrie found out they were expecting a baby girl, which they were going to name Penelope. So to commemorate the occasion, Mike decided he wanted to create a spirit that embodied the day joy, I guess, of life's pleasures, both big and small. So they teamed up with his close childhood friend and neighbor Danny, and they started their journey to discover and produce a bourbon whiskey that they felt everybody could enjoy. So Penelope is distilled at MGP Midwest, which is Midwest Grain Products. For those of you who don't know, in Indiana, we've talked about them quite a few times recently in some of our reviews. They also work through Bardstown Bourbon Company and use Speyside Cooperage for their barrels. It is distilled in Indiana, but the product is then bottled in St. Louis. And then just to give you guys some of their core series, they have a 4-grain Architect barrel strength toast, and then their toasted bourbon. And in their Cooper series, which includes this rose cask finish, it also includes a product that's coming soon, which I would like to try. It's called Havana, and it's finished in Cuban rum barrels.
Ooh, yeah.
It just sounds really good.
Yeah.
They have Rio, which is finished in honey and Amberana casks. They have Valencia, which is Vino de Naranja casks. They have Tokaji, finished in Tokaji casks.
Sorry, hang on. Vino de Naranja.
Yeah, like a wine, an orange wine.
Interesting.
Yes. Yep.
That would be interesting.
That would, yes. And then their Tokaji cast, that one is it's pretty popular one that we're seeing right now. So
yeah, a lot of people finishing in Tokaji.
Mm-hmm. Yes. They also, this is one I haven't seen before. They have a peach old fashioned ready to drink product. Your face said it all. I don't normally go for peach.
And the thing that I don't like about old fashions is when they're too sweet.
And
so
peach sounds like it's going to
sweet.
be like,
Yeah.
I think of peach schnapps, and it's just, I'm not saying that that's what it's like.
I'm sure it's
but
good.
Peaches are sweet.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like, instead of like an orange in your old fashioned, so
You got,
take the citrus out and you're putting sweet peach in there.
I'm sure it's good. It's just not for me.
Don't knock it till you try it, though, Justin.
I guess.
But yeah, that one is not one. That's unique. It's definitely a unique product. And then Penelope's bourbon is a blend of 3 different mash bills. This one is then finished in hand-selected French rosé wine casks from the Southern Rhone region. So, Justin, did you try it?
I did try it.
You sniffed
I gotta
it too?
keep trying it.
What would you sniff?
All I smell is peppers. I'm just kidding.
Whoa, I get it. I thought you.
To be honest, and this
killing
isn't
me.
a bad thing, it smells like a MGP product. We've had several. We reviewed several recently, and they all kind of have a similar smell. I'm not picking up any type of rosé or wine.
It's if you move it around while you sniff, it has like
Slosh it around like a wine.
It's faintly there, like just like the alcohol smell of wine. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Hang on real quick.
It's
Holden
there.
Longacre says, please help start Keon Coleman or Ty Johnson tonight. I say start Ty Johnson.
Over Keon?
I do. Because I think the
Keon,
Jets defense against the pass is going to be very good.
I do think so. And Keon is really just getting
like big play.
The big play, like one to just a few targets, and they're bigger targets. And because of how that pass defense is, I don't know if they're going to get those long throws in where Keon has benefited.
Sorry, hopefully you had time.
Yes, I hope
just
so.
saw your comment there.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah. Hopefully you can put him at Ty Johnson in.
And then Ratchet with the sad Pikachu photo will say, it says drop Ridley for Romeo Dobbs. I think Ridley's droppable for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to our Penelope
back
Rosé.
to our regular scheduled whiskey program.
That's right. I'll try to watch the comments closer. Sorry about that. So when you move it around, you get a little bit of
at the very end. It's like there. Keep your nose in there long enough. Okay.
It's not the first time she said that.
Oh my God.
No.
But seriously, don't just like sniff and pull it. I'm done. I'm done. Rick, what I'm trying to say is there is some wine there.
I think
it's
I'm
there.
getting a little
Okay,
sweetness.
thank you.
Yeah.
I can't talk anymore. I'm just cut off.
What are you tasting? I think there's some dryness, like a drier wine. You're not getting that. I can tell from your face.
Well, my mic was messed up there for a second. So
okay.
So whatever my face was doing, it had nothing to do with the whiskey.
Fair enough.
This has a really good flavor.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I need to try it a couple more times before I can
Okay.
give you my full review.
You keep trying it. Penelope, we saw this one. We saw their toasted and just their regular bourbon at Wall to Wall in Des Moines. So you can pick all those up.
This is interesting because it has like the finish of like the way that a dry wine makes your mouth feel.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. A dryness from that.
But it like has
I don't even know if rosé is a dry wine. I'm not a wine.
It's not,
person.
but maybe this is like
A drier one.
Maybe.
Or something. Yeah, I think it finishes dry for sure.
It's interesting. It has some heat afterwards, like in your belly heat.
See, I didn't get that. Which is interesting because a week or two ago, I said the whiskey we were trying then had heat, and you didn't. So I guess it's just how the different whiskeys affect.
We have been like sick on and off too.
This is a 94 proof.
Not anymore. Oh, it's 94.
Yeah.
But that's maybe why it makes your belly feel warm and not anything else. I said my belly feels warm now. Don't chew like that in front of me.
You got to chew your whiskey. Don't chew like that in front of me. All right, so what are we picking up? I pick up oak, obviously. There's a hiding in there behind kind of the dry finish.
Wheat.
There's a little bit of wheat. I was just gonna say like a standard bourbon taste.
It's wheat.
Wheat and
it tastes
oak.
Kind of wheat.
You get wheaty, do you?
Don't you taste that?
Maybe a little. Not as much. I just get the oakiness. The oaky afterbirth.
We're just so lovely to listen to right now. This review is very glowing.
Very professional. No, I just get a lot of oak is what I'm getting.
I think maybe it is, but
you get.
I need to look up the mash bill. That's one thing. I apologize. I didn't have time to get in that history.
Well, I tried to look up their mash bills, and it's very hidden. They don't say, but it is MGP stuff, so they may not. I don't know. They may not be as forward with that.
It's definitely unique because it tastes like a bourbon, finishes like you drink wine. It's really interesting, and not necessarily the flavor of wine, just the way that wine makes your mouth feel.
Yeah, that drier finish. I agree.
And then your belly's all warm.
And then your belly's all warm. If you are Miranda, no warm bellies for me, but I believe you. So, yeah, no, it's not bad by any means. There is something we've noticed. They were becoming kind of whiskey snobs.
Yes.
Some guy at Wall to Wall really wanted us to try something.
We're not going to say the product.
No.
We normally are trying more mid-shelf whiskeys. We have occasionally dipped under 30.
Yeah. Right. But that one we tried. And he was all bottle. Like, "Oh, it's $30. It was so good," and I did not think it was at all. It tasted like a young, almost rot gut whiskey.
Rot gut.
Yes.
Yes.
So when I taste this, I was prefacing what I'm going to say with that because this doesn't taste bad. It doesn't stand out a ton to me. I'm starting to notice a lot of the MGP products taste similar. Which makes sense. They make a huge bulk of whiskey, and they do a lot of it the similar way. By the way, Jets are driving down the field. They're on the Buffalo 22, so they're close to scoring. What?
Well, I just said.
You said Buffalo field goal.
But if
Breece Hall scores first, it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. I was going to say, I almost told people to take both. If you could do both, do the field goal for the Bills and do the rushing touchdown for the Jets,
which you can absolutely do, and you win either way. Yeah, no, this isn't bad. It's not super unique in my opinion.
I would agree with that. I thought being finished in rosé it would, I don't know. Usually when we've tried whiskey that is then finished in a wine cask of any kind, whether it's port or cab or we've done Merlot. What are some? I feel like we've tried several different wines.
Grenache was one of them.
You get like this deep, rich, like flavor from it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because it's a lighter wine.
Could be.
Like you're not finishing bourbons and Chardonnay.
I will say,
barrels,
like this is unique. At least you don't see rosé finish.
No, that in itself,
whiskeys.
but it doesn't. The rosé part isn't standing out to me, other than the way it makes your mouth feel like you've been drinking dry wine. But I wouldn't say that rosé is a dry wine.
Yeah.
Not to my standards of dry.
Not your standards of dry. I guess I don't know. I don't know enough about wine. I'm a whiskey guy through and through. We used to drink some wine, but anymore I would much rather have whiskey than wine. So I guess I don't remember for rosés for sure, but it's a good try. I think it's a good try. I would recommend trying to find a place where you can try it
and see if it's like for you or not.
Yeah.
This is one because this one is because it is that mid to upper shelf. I would see if you could try it first.
Yeah.
Unless like,
and again, showing it on the screen there,
mm-hmm.
It's the Penelope Rosé Cask Finish. Now, I will say, so that this isn't just we don't like Penelope products. I love this. The toasted barrel strength, the Rocky Mountain series. I've heard very good things about their regular toasted.
Which we need to try too. I want to try that. There's another one we saw, and I was debating between the rosé and... Do you remember what it was?
It wasn't the toasted, and it wasn't just the regular bourbon, right?
No, there was something else there.
I don't remember.
There were 4 Penelope bottles.
Yeah. I don't remember.
It wasn't what I said.
It wasn't one of these. The 4-grain Architect barrel strength toasted were ones we had in our notes here.
Well, it wasn't one of the other fun ones.
Yeah, I don't remember for sure.
I don't either. Maybe it was a barrel select one. Maybe
it could have been a limited series type deal.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it was.
But yeah, the toasted. If you get a chance to try the toasted, it won't be the exact same as this, but this is very good as well. So it's not like we don't like Penelope.
I'm not saying I don't like this.
Yeah, no, it's just different.
I was expecting more rosé to pop out at me.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair.
I smell it on the smell. Smell it
on the smell, everybody. She smells it on the smell, everybody. Jets field goal was the first score of the game.
Oh man, I was so wrong.
But you do smell it.
I had been doing good on those. You can't announce that when we're still here, Justin.
How might the results of your conductivity test vary? I think Josiah is throwing homework questions.
Are you in chemistry or
what is happening?
You're in chemistry, aren't you?
The answer is 2. I already know it's 2.
No.
I just want you to know it's 2. So
I felt like a couple weeks ago we got some chemistry question
from Josiah as well. Yes.
Josiah is a very smart, intelligent
creature,
college student.
Creature. We're going to answer the business circuit before we get out of here. 8-man PPR, Kyler, Mason, Henry, Marv, Debo, McBride, Connor, JMO, Bench, Downs, Douglas, Dak, Achan, Puka. Should I make a Henry for CD Cup and Love move with this roster? I also have Chase Brown on the bench. So you would be trading Derrick Henry for CD Lamb, Cooper Kupp, and Jordan Love. I mean, I think anytime you can trade one person and get 3, especially CD and Cup being studs, and Jordan Love doing well.
Like,
I think it makes sense. I know it. Derrick Henry has been great. I get that. But if you can get that kind of depth, you do have some depth anyways. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of like it.
I like it.
Yeah. Well,
Cup is coming back soon.
Hang on. Huh. Jordan Mason, Derrick Henry. Oh, James Conner. Okay. You got James Conner. I was like, if Achan is your only other running back, I was a little concerned. But you have Jordan Mason and James Conner. So, yeah, I think that's a good move. Maybe if you
also he has Chase Brown on his bench.
Oh, Chase Brown as well, who I think is starting to take over that backfield. So yeah, I think you got the depth to risk losing Derrick Henry and to add CD Lamb, Cooper Kupp. that just makes it so that you could eventually, maybe you can flip CD for a running back. So somebody also offered you Garrett Wilson for a Chan. I don't know if I
like that, because I don't feel like we've seen Garrett Wilson. Hold on a second, because he has a Chan.
Yeah.
Yes. We haven't seen Garrett Wilson. He's not developing that chemistry with Rodgers.
Yeah, and if you look at your roster now, I wouldn't start him over Marvin Harrison. Debo just had a huge game. I don't think I'd start him over him or James Conner in your flex spot. So I don't think that one helps you as well. I like the first one though.
Yeah, I like getting all of those. And Love, I feel like, is a better quarterback than what you've got there.
Yeah.
So
and plus you get CeeDee Lamb, which always fresh, never soggy cereal. We'll say absolutely get CD cereal. We were just on our way out, but thank you for tuning in or dropping by. We appreciate it. I know you work most nights, so you're probably stopping by on your lunch break, and we appreciate it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Good luck on your waivers. We'll be back Thursday for start sits, best bets, and trying this whiskey in an old fashioned. I'm curious to see how it mixes with everything in an old fashioned, because that can sometimes change things a lot as well.
Yeah. The old fashioned could help bring out
different parts of it for sure. My whiskey is almost gone. Going once, going twice.
Sold.